Do you actually trust your most true and authentic instincts? Your most true and authentic impulses? Not just like a reactive impulse or like a dumb instinct, but the instincts that you can't deny. The instincts that are telling you to do something, they're guiding you, right? And you can't deny their existence. Do you actually trust them? And if you're honest with yourself, you'll recognize that it's actually quite hard. You probably don't always trust it. In fact, you probably resist against them quite a lot. You probably struggle against yourself in various ways quite a lot. You probably create a lot of unnecessary suffering for yourself fairly often. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the importance of just reconnecting to your true instincts, how to go about doing that, and in a sense where we got, kind of how we got cut off from them in the first place. So I talk about this quite a lot in a lot of my videos. Growing up, we have to fit into the environment that we are surviving in. This means adopting the values, the behaviors, the beliefs, etc., the actions of the environment that we're growing up in. The culture, the family, the religion, whatever it is, science, regardless of the particular belief system. It's like we're slowly being conditioned to fit that role, right? We're moving from like a just pure open child, and we're just being conditioned over time to fit into a particular structure, a particular way of being. So the modern world, in a sense, cuts you off from yourself, and it also just programs you with a lot of things that aren't very authentic to you, like just always wanting more money, status, fame, approval, validation, things like this, right? And it's fine. We need a lot of those things. We need basically all those things for survival. But the deepest parts of you don't really care about just money or just status or just fame or validation or approval, right? Although that stuff is fine, the deepest parts of you care more about what is actually aligned with you. They care more about following the path that actually means something to you, following your own curiosity, following your own creativity, following your intrinsic motivation, following your sense of passion, following your bliss, as Joseph Campbell said, following your excitement, following what makes you feel healthy and alive and vital, following what makes you feel at peace and calm, following what makes you feel connected to yourself, to other people, to the present, to the environment, right? So without actually doing any kind of psychological and spiritual work, we actually end up living a very disconnected and inauthentic life, because our ability to connect to ourselves is very low. Self-connection is something that has to develop. You have to develop the ability to really connect to yourself and actually listen to yourself and trust yourself. Without that ability, of course, you just have the default. You have low skills when it comes to really connecting to yourself, listening to yourself, and trusting yourself. So essentially, you basically just don't trust yourself, and you rely on what your mind has been conditioned with to guide you through life, rather than your own inner guidance system, because your intuition, your nervous system, your instincts, your intrinsic motivation, these are intelligent guidance systems that you have to learn to attune to, giving them your attention and sensing into them, and really act upon them, listen to them. Maybe one day they tell you to go for a run, maybe another day they tell you to rest. Maybe they tell you to leave your job. Maybe they tell you not to leave your job. Maybe they tell you your relationship isn't a good fit for you. Maybe they tell you something otherwise, right? So it's like you're learning to get clear about how to listen to yourself and actually trust yourself, right? Rather than just the stuff that your mind's been conditioned with and the stuff that it repeats, because that's how the subconscious works. It picks up forms of conditioning and then it just repeats these patterns over and over and over again in a completely unconscious and mechanical and robotic way. So in a sense, what we're really doing here is we're almost like returning to when we were a kid, before we were like conditioned by, you know, all the stuff we've been conditioned with, while also including a lot of the wisdom that we've learned along the way. It's like we're deprogramming certain aspects of our mind that aren't helping us anymore. At one point they helped us to survive, but now as an adult, they're not helping us. They're actually creating suffering. So we're learning, it's like we're learning to just decondition those parts of ourselves and allow them to return to like their just natural, open way of being. All right, so I want you to think of yourself as a kid when you were excited about something, when you felt curious about something, when you were just drawn to something and you did that. When you felt curious about something in the forest or something happened on the playground or a sport. right? You didn't need a reason to go and do it. You just trusted the impulse. You felt it and you trusted it. You let it guide you, right? Almost like how also when a dog wants to sit down, it just sits down. When a dog wants to get up, it gets up. When a dog wants to sleep, it sleeps. When a dog wants to eat, it eats. When a dog wants to go to the bathroom, it goes to the bathroom. It doesn't need like reasons. It doesn't like judge itself for all this stuff. It's just able to really listen to its own impulses and instincts. Right? So it's like we have to reconnect to ourselves and establish that inner connection to who we are. Right? You have to really allow your own individual intelligence to flourish, rather than always cutting yourself off from your own authenticity, from your own true path, from your calling. Right? It's like you're allowing your individuality to actually flourish. And counterintuitively, this helps you to actually connect with other people in more deep and meaningful ways. Right? You can easily make a little bit of an argument for if we allow our individuality to flourish, you know, what does that mean for my relationships and my connections to people? Counterintuitively, you actually end up attracting the best people into your life who resonate with you the most. And then you'll start repelling people who don't really fit you. Right? So really think back to when you were a kid and you just felt that intrinsic motivation, that excitement, that burst of energy, right? To do something, to explore something, and you just acted upon it. You didn't have to rationalize it. It's the same thing here, right? Except there's so much conditioning that's pulling you to do the opposite of it. There's so much fear. There's so much just self-doubt. There's so much shame. There's so much guilt. There's the opinions of other people and what they say. Right? In this video, I'm asking you to listen more to yourself, to really develop it. And I want you to recognize that, yes, it's an actual thing you have to develop. This is going to be something that will take years. This isn't something you're going to watch in a video and then you'll just be good at. This is something that will literally take many years. This is a long-term vision for your life. It's not something that can be done in 5 minutes. And without intentionally working on it, it's not going to happen. Just like how without going to the gym and lifting up weights in order to get jacked, you're not going to get big muscles. You're not going to get jacked. If you're not doing certain things that foster self-connection, you're not going to connect to yourself. All this stuff is, you know, it's useless. This video is useless to you then. So because there's so many distractions in the modern world, a core part of really connecting to yourself is cutting yourself off from all these distractions, overstimulation, right? And as you just begin to kind of detox yourself from a lot of the overstimulation, a lot of those natural instincts will arise in you once again. Once you're able to sit and actually practice some meditation, walk in the woods, read a book, right? Not be on your phone all day, break your screen addiction, not watch porn, right? Just kind of cutting off all these unhealthy habits, right? Sitting and journaling, doing this kind of psychological work. Right? All those impulses are going to start arising again when you act on your creativity, your excitement again. A lot of that stuff is going to start coming back because it's all there. It's just kind of under the surface. And what's above that is like all the programming and conditioning and all the bullshit essentially. And we're trying to process that and start to clean it up and then dig down to what's below it, which is like our actual, more truthful way of being, rather than all the ways that we've been conditioned to be. So you have to connect to yourself by unplugging from the world. This doesn't mean that you just be a hermit forever. This means more so facing yourself directly rather than avoiding yourself, escaping yourself through junk food and TV and entertainment and the newest iPhone and all this kind of stuff. It's like instead of always using the world to just escape, instead you're connecting to yourself. And then when you are in the world, it's so interesting. You're going to just start attracting the people, opportunities, etc., that are going to deepen your connection to yourself. It's super counterintuitive. So a core part of really connecting to yourself is sitting in silence with just no distractions, right? Just bringing awareness to yourself and just learning to love your own presence. Having this ability to just reflect, deepening this ability, this capacity to reflect. right? Basically just not running from yourself and then rationalizing it. Because a lot of the things we use in our world are just distractions. They're ways that we escape ourselves and we rationalize it. As like, oh, I'm not doing that, or like, oh, it doesn't really matter, whatever. So I'm gonna list just some really core points here that I've talked about a lot in my videos that are very helpful for really connecting to yourself. Spending time in nature, journaling, daily meditation, meditation retreats, like a Vipassana retreat, one of the best things you can really do for yourself. Reading a lot of books. If you're not a reader, pick up some books, start reading them. Fill up your mind with high quality information. Don't fill up your mind with just useless junk that you find on the internet, like this video. But fill it up with something actually useful. Right? Make sure that the information you're putting in your mind is high quality information. It's not dogmatic, it's not closed-minded. Feel into the energy of the information that you put into your mind. Is it just dogmatic and closed and rigid? Right? Or is it like open? Is it incorporating a lot of points of view? Regulate the nervous system, that's a big one. Eat healthy foods, nutrient-dense foods that make you feel light, clear. Exercise, yoga, stretch. Connect with like-minded people who are also very healthy, interested in this kind of stuff. And really inquire into your own mind. Ask powerful questions, right? And really just be extremely honest with yourself, right? Really be honest with yourself. Don't just tell yourself that you're being honest with yourself. Really be honest with yourself. It's going to be quite difficult to do that, especially if you've never really practiced it, but it gets easier as time goes on. It's kind of like coffee, how when you're really young, you don't really like the taste of coffee. And then as you like become an adult, you know, I actually really love the taste of coffee. I get like black decaf. I don't really drink a lot of coffee, but when I do, I don't really like the feeling of caffeine. But I love the actual taste of just like black coffee, right? Whereas when I was young, I hated it. But as I like was able to develop, I actually started to like it. Right? Same thing with honesty. It's like when you weren't as developed, you hated it and you avoided it. But then as you begin to practice it, it's like, oh, like I really needed this. Like I was screwed before. Like it's just, I was just living a lie and I was just in complete delusion and just completely lying to myself to avoid pain, essentially. Right? Another good point is just getting the amount of sleep that you actually need. Rest, really rest, right? Really value your own energy. Make sure you're not overworking, overexpending energy. Right? That's it for this video. If you're interested in working with me, you can apply to do so. Link is in the pinned comment. Take it easy.